Here we have the velocity triangle for a Pelton wheel. So there is the nozzle. The nozzle will always be tangential. So whatever the absolute velocity comes out of the nozzle will be equal to the tangential velocity of the fluid at the inlet. So because of that, we don't have a triangle at the inlet, we just have a straight line. So from here till here it is u, that is the tangential velocity of the blade, and the entire length of this line is v1. So the difference of u and v1, that is v1 minus u, will be equal to vr1. Since all the velocities are in the same direction, so here vr1 will be directly equal to v1 minus u. Otherwise, if the directions are different, then you have to use the velocity triangle to find out them. But since all the velocities, that is u, v1 and u and v1 are in the same direction here, the relative velocity will be in the same direction, and the magnitude of the relative velocity will be equal to the numerical difference between v1 and u. So the water jet enters the turbine. So at the inlet, the blade angle will be 0. Then the water passes through the turbine blades or passes over the turbine blades and then gets split into two parts, and each part comes out of each side of the bucket or the blade. So when the water comes out of the bucket or the blade of a Pelton turbine, so it comes out with a relative velocity Vr2 and then the absolute velocity V2 and the fluid velocity Vf, and u remains same because as you had seen in the previous diagram, the water enters and leaves at the same radius, so there is no change in u. So u remains same for inlet as well as for outlet. Okay, so here we have the outlet velocity triangle where the angle made between V2 and u is alpha 2 and the angle made between Vr2 and u is beta 2. And here the water is being turned by certain angle. So if I consider this as the direction of the water gets deflected back to this direction. So this angle we call it as the angle of deflection, represented by theta. So theta is the angle of deflection, and we can relate theta and beta 2 here. So if you see this, so beta 2, these two lines are parallel to each other. So the base of this triangle and this line, they are parallel to each other. So here beta 2 and this angle are alternate angles, so I can call this as beta 2, or I can say that theta will be equal to 180 degree minus beta 2. This is a straight line, so the angle made here will be 180 degree. So I can also write it as beta 2 plus theta will be equal to 180 degree, or theta will be equal to 180 minus beta 2. So that is the relation between the angle of deflection theta and the blade angle beta 2 in the case of a Pelton turbine. So now let us find out the work done by this and then find out the hydraulic efficiency in this case. So for work done, we know that work done is given by the Euler's equation, that is u into Vu1 plus or minus Vu2. But if you observe the direction of Vu1 and Vu2 in this diagram, Vu1 is towards right and Vu2 is towards left. They are in the opposite direction. Because of that, here for this case, W will be equal to u into Vu1 plus Vu2. If they are in the same direction, then we have to subtract, but since they are in the opposite direction and we are dealing with vectors, we have to add them numerically. So Vu1 W will be equal to u into Vu1 plus Vu2. In this case, alpha 1 will be equal to 0 degree because the fluid is entering the nozzle tangentially, and also beta 1, as I said, at the inlet the angle will be 0. So beta 1 will also be equal to 0, and you need to remember V1 is equal to Vu1. So since alpha 1 is 0, V1 will be equal to Vu1, and there will be no flow component in this case. Okay, at the inlet we don't have Vf. So V1 will be equal to Vu1. Now let us see what is Vu2 from the outlet velocity triangle. So now what we have to do is we need to relate the inlet velocity triangle and outlet velocity triangle in terms of velocities and angles. So thereby we will be knowing V1 and U as well as the inlet angles. So it will be easy for us to calculate the amount of energy or the work done in this case. So what I'll do is I'll relate Vu2 to inlet velocity triangle. So for that, first what I'll do is I'll find out I'll represent Vu2 in terms of VR2, because we are dealing with an impulse turbine. Pelton wheel is an impulse turbine. Since it is an impulse turbine, VR1 will be equal to VR2. There is no change in the static component. So VR1 will be equal to VR2. So if I represent Vu2 in terms of VR2, then I will be able to represent VR2 in terms of VR1, because they are same. I can just replace VR2 by VR1. Once I do that, then I will be able to represent VR1 in terms of V1 and U, because here we just have a line, we don't have a triangle. So in that case I can write VR1 will be equal to V1 minus U. So I will be able to represent Vu2 in terms of V1 and U if I represent Vu2 in terms of VR2. So if I have to represent Vu2 in terms of VR2, then I can write that as, so this entire length from here till here I can write it as VR2 cos beta 2, because that is the horizontal component of VR2. Okay, so now I can relate Vu2 to VR2 as Vu2 will be equal to VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. So I'll write it as Vu2 will be equal to VR2 cos beta 2 minus U. And I know that VR2 is equal to VR1, because we are dealing with impulse turbines, and in the case of impulse turbine there will be no change in static component. So Vu2 will be equal to VR1 cos beta 2 minus U. Now I know that VR1 can be written as V1 minus U from the inlet triangle. So it is minus U into cos beta 2 minus U. So this is Vu2. So Vu2 will be equal to V1 minus U into cos beta 2 minus U. Now I'll substitute Vu2 here. So work done will be equal to U into Vu1 plus V1 minus U into cos beta 2 minus U. And I also know that V1 is equal to Vu1, or Vu1 and V1 are same here, numerically they are same. So I can write U into, in place of Vu1 I can write it as V1 plus V1 minus U into cos beta 2 minus U. Now I can group this together, V1 minus U. So I'll write it as U into V1 minus U plus V1 minus U into cos beta 2. Now I have V1 minus U common in both the terms. So I'll take it out. So I'll write u into V1 minus u into 1 plus cos beta 2. Till now we have not considered the losses that occurs as the water passes over the moving blade. So if you remember those losses in the module 2 we discussed about the general turbo machine. So in the analysis of general turbo machine we had used a term called CB. CB is nothing but, so CB is nothing but VR2 divided by VR1, where VR2 and VR1 are the relative velocities at the inlet and outlet. So if you consider the losses, then VR2 and VR1 will not be same because of the friction between the blade and the water and the fluid friction. So for those, if you consider those losses, then CB has to be introduced, and if you remember the derivation, that was multiplied with cos beta 2 divided by cos beta 1. But here cos beta 1 is 0, so here we don't use cos beta 1. So I can write the work done as, work done will be equal to u into V1 minus u into 1 plus CB into cos beta 2. We had used CB into K, but K was cos beta 2 by cos beta 1. In this case cos beta 1 is cos 0, which is 1. So we have only cos beta 2, we are not using K. But if you remember that we had multiplied CB with cos beta 2 by cos beta 1. So I am multiplying the same here to consider the losses. Then now I need to represent this. Now this is the work done. Now I need to write the hydraulic efficiency, and we can write the hydraulic efficiency eta h as work done divided by the inlet energy. So here in this case we are dealing with impulse turbine, and for an impulse turbine the inlet energy will be only the kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy here is V1 square by 2. We are dealing with energy per unit mass, so it is V1 square by 2. So I can write hydraulic efficiency eta h as u into V1 minus u into 1 plus CB into cos beta 2 whole divided by V1 square by 2. So here we have 2 in the denominator of the denominator. I will take it to the numerator. So I will write eta h will be equal to 2 into u divided by V1. In the denominator we have V1 multiplied by V1. So I will split it, multiplied by V1 minus u, everything divided by V1 into 1 plus CB cos beta 2. Now I know that u by V1 is phi, or speed ratio. So I will write this as 2 into phi multiplied by, here we have V1 divided by V1, which is 1, minus u by V1, that is also phi, into 1 plus CB cos beta 2. Now I need to optimize, or I need to find out the optimum value of phi for which I will get maximum hydraulic efficiency. For that purpose what we will do is I will differentiate eta h with respect to phi. I am keeping the other terms constant, that is the remaining term is CB, cos CB and cos beta 2. So I am keeping cos beta, the beta 2 as constant because we have fixed the design of the blade. Now to get optimum value for hydraulic efficiency, I will differentiate the hydraulic efficiency with respect to phi. So when I do that, I can write this as 2 into, before differentiating this, I will multiply phi inside this. So it becomes phi minus phi square. So differentiation of phi is 1 and differentiation of phi square will be 2 phi into 1 plus CB into cos beta 2. and this should be equal to 0 to get the maximum value for eta h. So to maximize the function eta h, we need to differentiate this and equate it to 0, then we will get the condition. So if I equate that to 0, then 2 cannot be equal to 0 because it is a number, and 1 plus Cb into cos beta 2 cannot be equal to 0. The only term which can be equal to 0 is 1 minus 2 phi. So if 1 minus 2 phi is equal to 0, then phi will be equal to half. So I will take 2 phi to the other side, then phi will be equal to 1 divided by 2, or phi will be equal to half. So if phi equal to half, or phi is nothing but u by v1 is equal to half, or v1 is 2 times of u, then we will have the condition for maximum utilization. So now I will substitute this in this equation to get the condition for to get maximum hydraulic efficiency equation. So eta h max will be equal to 2 into phi should be half, 1 divided by 2 into 1 minus 1 by 2 into 1 plus Cb into cos beta 2. If I simplify this, I will cancel these two. 2 divided by 2 will get cancelled. So 1 minus half is half. Half multiplied by 1 plus Cb into cos beta 2 will be equal to eta h max will be equal to 1 plus Cb cos beta 2 divided by 2. And in this case, if beta 2 is 0 and Cb is 1, then we will get maximum efficiency. That is, if Cb equal to 1 and beta 2 equal to 0 degrees, then we will get maximum efficiency, that is 100%. But beta 2 cannot be made 0, because if we make beta 2 0, then the jet coming out, or the water coming out of the turbine will strike the nozzle or the incoming jet. So we cannot make beta 2 0, there will be a finite value for beta 2. By reducing the value of beta 2, here we can increase the efficiency of the turbine. We have seen the derivation for work done and the condition for maximum efficiency or maximum hydraulic efficiency for a Pelton wheel. Now let us see different parameters which are involved in the designing of the Pelton turbine. So the design parameters are, the first one is ideal velocity of the jet. So this is the ideal velocity of the jet coming out of the nozzle. That is given by, we represent that as V theoretical, because in an ideal case we are not considering any losses. So if you don't consider any losses, then the theoretical velocity will be equal to root of 2gh. So root of 2gh is the where h is the net head or the effective head available for power production. So we have taken out the losses due to the friction between the penstock and the water, as well as the fluid friction inside the penstock, and we are using the h, that is the net head or the effective head. So this is the energy available at the inlet or the nozzle level. So at the nozzle, the energy available for power production is represented by head h, and the theoretical velocity there will be equal to root of 2gh. Then the actual velocity of the jet, or V1, which is the velocity of the water coming out of the jet, so that will be equal to V1 will be equal to Cv into V1 is equal to Cv into root of 2gh, where Cv is the coefficient of velocity for the nozzle. So there will be few losses in the nozzle. So if you consider those losses also, then the velocity of the water jet coming out of the nozzle is given by Cv into root of 2gh, that is V1. So the absolute velocity at the inlet or the tangential component of the absolute velocity, both are same in this case for Pelton wheel or Pelton turbine, that is given by Cv into root of 2gh. Then we have the second parameter, that is the tangential velocity of the buckets or the tangential velocity of the rotor where the water or the jet of water strikes the buckets. So there, if you want to find out the tangential velocity, then u is given by phi into root of 2gh. Since Cv is I forgot to say that Cv ranges between 0.97 to 0.98. The losses in the nozzle are very minimum. So Cv ranges in 0.97 to 0.99. So because of that, here we have not considered Cv. So u will be equal to phi into root of 2gh, or the speed ratio phi can be written as u divided by root of 2gh. So we will be using all these formulas while solving the problem, where phi is the speed ratio and that will be in the range of 0.43 to 0.48. So in the derivation we have seen that condition for maximum hydraulic efficiency was that phi was equal to 0.5 or 1 by 2. But due to practical reasons we cannot maintain 0.5. So we keep it very close to 0.5. So it will be in the range of 0.43 to 0.48. So this will be given. So if you know this and head, then you can easily find out the tangential speed required for optimum energy production. Then the next parameter is least diameter of jet, that is denoted by small d. So we have two diameters here. One is the diameter of the jet and the other one is the diameter of the runner. So the diameter of the jet, small d, is to calculate that, first we need to consider the total amount of water discharging through the nozzle. So if I take Q as the total amount of water discharged, then Q is given by N, where N is the number of nozzles. So in the diagram, while explaining the Pelton turbine working, we had only one nozzle. I had told you that we can have multiple number of nozzles. So if you have two nozzles, then N will be equal to 2. If you have three nozzles, then N will be equal to 3. All the nozzles will be identical to have a balance in the amount of water entering the turbine. Thereby the forces will be same in all the direction. So N represents the number of nozzles, then multiplied by the area available at the nozzle, that is pi d square by 4, where d is the diameter of the least diameter of the nozzle. Pi d square by 4 into V1, where V1 is the velocity of the jet coming out of the nozzle. Okay, so V1 can be written as Cv into root of 2gh, or Q can be written as N into pi d square by 4 into Cv into root of 2gh. So in this case, head will be known, then the number of nozzles will be known. So we can find out the diameter if we know the total discharge. So by knowing the total discharge, we can find out the diameter of the least diameter of the nozzle required for that case. Then we have the mean diameter or the pitch diameter of the bucket or runner. Mean diameter or pitch diameter of the buckets or runner is represented by capital D. Small d represents the least diameter of the nozzle. Capital D represents the pitch diameter or the mean diameter of the runner, and that is the diameter where the jet will be impinging on the buckets or the blade. So that is to calculate that we need the tangential velocity of the bucket. So by knowing the tangential velocity of the bucket, we know that u is given by pi d n divided by 60, where n is the rotational speed of the runner. So if you know the rotational speed of the runner and the tangential speed or tangential velocity of the bucket, Then we can find out the mean diameter or pitch diameter using this relationship, where d will be equal to 60 u divided by pi into n. So u is the tangential velocity and n is the rotational speed of the runner or the bucket, and that will be in RPM. N will be in RPM, and that is the reason why we have 60 here, to convert that into rotations per second. Then the last major parameter in the design of a Pelton wheel is the number of buckets required, represented by capital Z. So Z represents the number of buckets required. To find out the number of buckets required, first we need to define the jet ratio. The jet ratio is the ratio of the diameter of the bucket, mean diameter of the bucket, to the diameter of the nozzle. So jet ratio is represented by M. M will be equal to capital D divided by small d. And the number of buckets required, Z will be equal to M divided by 2 plus 15, where M is capital D by small d. So Z will be equal to capital D divided by 2 into small d plus 15. And the value of M will be given, and that will be in the range of 6 to 35, depending on the size of the turbine. So depending on the size of the Pelton wheel, the value of M will be given, and it will be in the range of 6 to 35. So these are the major design parameters that needs to be considered while designing a Pelton wheel. And while solving the problems, these parameters has to be calculated for the Pelton wheel. So the major parameters are the theoretical velocity and the actual velocity. Theoretical velocity is root of 2gh, actual velocity is v1, which is cv into root of 2gh, where cv will be in the range of 0.97 to 0.99, and the tangential velocity is given by phi into root of 2gh, or the speed ratio phi will be given by u divided by root of 2gh, and the speed ratio will be in the range of 0.43 to 0.48. Then we have the base diameter of the jet, which is denoted by small d, and to calculate that we need to know the total discharge. So if you know the total discharge, then total discharge is given by small n into pi d square by 4 into v1, where small n is the number of jets or number of nozzles. So q can also be written as n into pi d square by 4 into cv into root of 2gh, that is v1. And then mean diameter or the pitch diameter of the bucket or the runner is denoted by capital D, and to know that we need the tangential velocity of the buckets. So the tangential velocity of the buckets can be written as pi into n into d divided by 60. So here d can be written as 60 into u divided by pi into n. And then we have the number of buckets required, that is denoted by capital Z, and to find out this we need the jet ratio, that is M, which is equal to capital D by small d, and that will be in the range of 6 to 35, and if you know that, then Z will be equal to M divided by 2 plus 15, or Z will be equal to capital D divided by 2 into small d plus 15. That gives us the number of buckets required. So this completes the theory part of Pelton wheel. Next we will see how to solve problems in this case.